Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to look at just a handful of the delicious games coming to the Nintendo Switch in the month of February, as is tradition. As always, this isn't every game coming to the Switch in the month of February. This is merely just a slice, a sort of a hand-picked selection, if you like, because there's a lot of games that haven't even been announced yet that will be coming in February, or have been announced and haven't had their release date revealed yet. It's fine. It's what I'm saying, it's fine. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Starting things off on the 1st of February, we have got Wargroove. This is a game I've been looking forward to for a long time. I must admit, when it was first announced, I was a bit like, because historically I've never been that overboard with the whole Advance Wars series, which sounds like absolute sacrilege, and it is. But I decided to go back to the old games to see what all this fuss was about, and remembering that my brother used to really love them, and gave it a go, being wiser, older, uglier, and beardier than I was, and I absolutely loved them. It takes a lot of cues from Advance Wars, but from what I understand, it is not exactly the same, which is, well, it should be patently obvious just from looking at it. I'm really looking forward to it. I really love strategy games now, so this is going to be a particularly spicy one from my personal list. Similarly, on the 1st of February, we have also got Thea the Awakening, which is another turn-based strategy game. Did I say Wargroove was a turn-based strategy game? It would have been obvious. However, these are two very different beasts, and hopefully you can tell that just from seeing the bloomin' trailer that's in the background. Thea is more of a survivalist type game, a survivalist turn-based, rather than being the sort of the war simulator that Wargroove is. It's much more of just a sort of on a smaller scale, and it's got that sort of top-down perspective. You know, like a lot of, I'm really trying hard not to say RTS. It's not an RTS, it's not in real time, but it does kind of look like it, doesn't it? And I think there is a lot of inspiration there from RTS games, but I could be wrong, because I sometimes am. Anyway, the game looks good. Have a look at it, yes. Moving on to the 5th of February, we have got an old kind of genre that hasn't really had a lot of look in recently. Yes, a point-and-click adventure called The Book of Unwritten Tales 2. I have very fond memories of point-and-click adventure games back in the old, sort of PC gaming days, Windows 95, Windows 98 if you were a Flash git, and I have a real sort of fascination for them, and they hold a very special place in my heart. And this game is giving me all sorts of Lord of the Rings vibes. Oh! It looks like it's got some serious production value gone into it, and it seems to be quite a heavy focus on the presentation without making it, whoa, out of this world, look at all these particle effects, but more about the animation. The animation's very smooth, and it's got sort of traditional animation stylings in there that you don't see a lot of in a lot of 3D games these days, because, well, maybe it's hard to do, I don't know. But I just think it looks really nice. I think it looks really welcoming, really lovely, and just overall just a really nice, charming game with some humor in there as well, which is never a bad thing. Then moving on to the 7th, we have got another RPG that could be several RPGs sort of rolled into one, if you understand what I'm saying. Maybe it's already happened in the trailer. I don't know when I'm going to start it from. Did I say it was Legendary Edition? Evoland Legendary Edition. If I didn't. This is the first Evoland game and the sequel rolled into one delicious package, and yeah, basically, the crux of this, the gimmick, I suppose, for lack of a better term, is that you are going around and you can change between different, eras of game, eras of RPG. They've got a Game Boy style, a SNES style, goes all the way up to PS1 style, and then it goes to another one, which maybe is PS2, but by that point, my sort of analytical brain sort of fell off. It's not entirely clear how these sort of knit together and how important it is to switch between styles. I imagine it is important, otherwise it kind of wouldn't be in there, but it's just a really interesting idea, and I always like interesting ideas and people trying to do something new. And they basically had to create assets for loads of different this huge span of different styles. It's not just normal and dark world, it's like Game Boy, SNES, PS1, I've been through this. Also on the 7th of February, we have got Away, Journey to the Unexpected. This, as you can probably tell, is a first-person sort of adventure-style game. They sort of keep pushing the idea that you are not a hero, you're not a fighter and stuff like that, but it's more about the relationships that you forge in this adventure, and it looks like it's got some real charm behind it, and it is a brand new game, it hasn't been released yet, which is weirdly refreshing for the Switch sometimes when it comes to these bigger indie games. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying they're prolific. Moving on to the 8th of February, we have got Odallus the Dark Call, which, if you've ever played a Metroidvania game, should be screaming Metroidvania at you. Metroidvania at you. It's clearly leaning more on the Vania side of Metroidvania as a genre, so expect sort of Castlevania vibes and stuff like that if you're not getting it already from the trailer that's up there, which I think I was pointing over there before. I'm always doing that. What I really like about this is that it's sort of taken the idea of a retro game and hasn't really enhanced it at all. It's almost like it could have actually run on one of these old systems. Animation is sort of slightly stilted and limited and things like that, but done in a way that's very appealing. And I think that that's something that people sort of try and skirt around. They always try and sort of, you know, polish and rose tint everything that comes from the past. But, you know, the truth is that things did not always run as you'd expect, and things were much more limited. And they seem to have really embraced it with this game, and to me, that's a ruddy good thing. And they've kept the 4:3 aspect ratio and used the sides, these bits here, which are probably out of shot because I've cropped it in. They've used the extra bits of screen for the HUD, for all the information that you need. And there's even like chromatic aberration at the edges. It just looks, it just reminds me of my childhood, and that always gets a tick in my book. Then on the 14th of February, a similarly sort of retro-styled thing, we've got Love. Aww. This is a very minimalist platformer, and it doesn't look like it's going to be the biggest game in the world, but it's like $3 or something, so it's a proper like budget game. But it looks like the platforming is really solid, and it's like stripped back everything else, and it's all just about the jumping and the platforming. And to me, that spells good vibes, baby. I'm assuming they're going for like an Atari sort of Commodore style of thing, maybe like an old BBC Micro. In fact, yeah, it is very BBC Micro actually, isn't it? That kind of aesthetic isn't actually used that much in modern games, probably because it is very simplistic, and you know what, I think that's kind of cool and refreshing. You know, it's a cheap game. I don't think it's going to be enormous, but you know, it's $3. I'm definitely going to buy it. Shut up! Then on the 14th of February, we have got Olly Olly Switch Stance. Hey, yeah, got there in the end. This is the original Olly Olly and the sequel, Olly Olly 2, Bootstrap's Revenge, that's not the actual name, once again rolled into one package. And we're seeing, this is the second time this list, and it's not the last time we'll see two games in one for this list, but yeah, I think it's good. It's value. I think it was the original Olly Olly that I played on the Wii U, and I really liked it, and everyone's raving about it, saying it was amazing, and I enjoyed my time with it, but I was absolutely crap. So I really didn't give it as much of a go as I really should have done, so it gives me an opportunity to play the game again, maybe do better and not be quite so crap at the game, and maybe actually get past the, you know, first 10 levels or whatever it was that I played back then. Really solid, and you get the sequel, which is supposed to be really good as well. Yes, it's a good. Then on the 26th of February, we have got Child of Light Ultimate Edition. Again, on the 26th of February, we have got Trials Rising. And if you've played a Trials game, you've played a Trials game. I was so pleased when they announced that this was coming to Switch as well, because it's one of those games that I really liked, but I never actually owned. I played it a lot on friend systems when I was at university. On the 360, that's what we had, yeah, it was a 360. But I never actually owned it myself, and I really enjoyed it, but back then money was so tight. And this is kind of almost like a little renaissance for me. I can like dive in and play the game and enjoy it and, you know, not worry about money so much. The basic premise is that you're on the back of a BMX and you've got to go through this course and try and fall off as many times as possible. That's not what you actually do, but that's the way I play it, and I have damn fun with it, so shut up. And then finally on the 28th of February, Ape Out. Now, I don't know a huge amount about this game. I've just seen a trailer and I've just seen it and thought, yeah, I want to play that. It appears to be some sort of game where you run around as a gorilla, or at least an ape. I think it's a gorilla. Definitely an ape, at least. Bashing the living nonsense out of a load of people running around who presumably have, like, captured you or something. Maybe medical experiments. Maybe they pumped you full of, like, steroids or something, and now you're a really powerful ape and you're running around beating them up. It's all, you know, very good, clean, family-friendly fun. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the top-down perspective, the limited art style, the music as well. I'm gonna have to let you listen to a bit of that. But it all just seems to blend together to make this really, really interesting looking game, and I'm really keen to get my hands on it. And there you have it. That is just a fraction of the lovely games coming to the Nintendo Switch in the month of February. Is there a game coming that you really wanted to see and that we selfishly didn't include? Let us know down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you that subscribe button, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye. Similarly, on the 1st of February, we have also got The Awakening.